If you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, contact Arizona State Parks and Trails. Tell them you want to come out to Homolovi State Park and remark all their trails for them. I'm camping at Homolovi State Park near Winslow, Arizona, and out for a morning hike. There's a number of ancestral Puebloan ruins here at the state park. In fact, that's how it was decided that this would be a state park. They believe that the Hopi tribe from this area are direct descendants of the ancestral people who were here in like the 14th century. And there's a number of places where you can drive and park and take short little like quarter-mile, half-mile hikes in to see the ruins. It's a beautiful morning. It's supposed to be like 102 today, but we're nowhere near that just yet. And I thought, what the heck? I'll take the hike from the campground, which is a little over a mile to the visitor center. The ranger told me yesterday when I checked in that if you wanted to hike from the campground, do all the little loops, see some of the ruins, and there's an old cemetery, that it's about a 4-mile round trip. That'd be a good morning hike. This is pretty much a hike across desert scrubland. It's flat, pretty easy going. Kind of a sandy surface, you can imagine, because it's in the desert. But I like when parks and campgrounds set up trails from the campsites out onto their trail system, because you don't always want to, or you're not always able to move your rig or drive your tow vehicle for whatever reason. Just nice to be able to load everything up and head out for a hike straight from your campsite. The campground here is pretty nice. It's not huge, but they have a number of sites that have 20, 30, and 50 amp service, as well as water on site. And then there are other campsites here that are just rustic, no electric or anything. There's no sewer hookups at any of the sites, but there is a dump station right at the entrance to the campground. I'm flying solo, or I guess I should say hiking solo, for about a week or so. Jesse had to fly back to Michigan for some things, and so I'm out exploring, just seeing what I can see in different parts of Arizona. Back in the 1870s, apparently Brigham Young in Utah decided they should settle some Mormon colonies out here in Arizona. So several hundred people headed this way. And one of the settlements was Sunset Fort. They settled here in the Little Colorado River Valley. It was basically a common settlement, so property was shared, chores were shared. They ran into a number of hardships, it said, including drought, floods, which is sort of odd, but that happens with flash floods in desert environments. Disease took its toll, and what is now Sunset Cemetery is where they buried their loved ones who didn't survive. Community didn't last a real long time. They left Utah in 1876, came out here and settled. The sign here said that Sunset Fort was abandoned by 1888, and floods over the years wiped out all the buildings. So there's nothing left of the community except this cemetery. It's always humbling to stand in a pioneer cemetery and read the headstones, think about the lives that they led, the hardships they endured because they wanted to have a different life somewhere for whatever reason, and for many reasons. There are 13 graves here at the cemetery, at least known graves. It looks like about 8 of them are children, and I think the oldest was 9 of those children. So quite a few kids lost their lives here, including 3 of the children of Lot Smith. He was the captain who led the expedition to come out here and create this stake for the Latter-day Saints. He and his wife had a number of children. They lost 3 who are now here for eternity. May they all rest in peace. One nice thing if you camp at this state park is you have access to things after hours or before hours, which is important here because the sun gets hot in June. But the state park is open, visitor center, visiting the ruins, that kind of thing, from, I believe it's 8 to 5 every day. And then they shut the gates for the roads. But if you're camping, the ranger said, go ahead and hike out, see different things all you want, even if it's before or after hours. Obviously, you just have to be respectful. We have a cemetery here from Latter-day Saints. The Hopi people consider this entire area to be sacred land because their ancestors lived here, settled here, died here, are buried here, probably in places we don't even know. But I could see where a number of these places would be great for sunrises, sunsets, maybe some night photography because there's some wide open horizons here on this desert landscape. Came across the Suvo Loop Trail. Not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Really cool area here with the rocks and a rise in the desert. And found at least one big boulder with petroglyphs on it. I'm sure there's more out here. I haven't spotted any. The ones I saw were pretty neat. One thing I found about the trails here that's kind of tricky is that with them being in the desert scrub, when the trail markers go down, which I understand it's hard to keep them up because of the shifting sands, a trail disappears very quickly. You're not exactly sure where you're supposed to be, so you kind of get a waypoint, like I'm headed for this bench, and I'm watching for trail markers, treading as lightly as I can, but even trying to turn around and go back, the trail behind me sort of disappeared. Ironically, the markers that seem to be holding up the best are the ones that say stay on trail. Well, I would, but the trail markers with the arrows to tell you where the trail actually is and where it's going are often laying on the ground. Trail markers are few and far between. They're hard to see. And a lot of them are laying on the ground. And it's not a safety concern so much because you can see forever around here. You're never out of sight of things like the visitor center for very long. But it's more about the whole desire to tread lightly, stay on existing trails. Take nothing but pictures and video, leave nothing but footprints, but ideally leave footprints where they belong, on the trail. So I bailed on that trail that was somewhat marked. After checking the maps on Onyx backcountry, I realized it was going to take me away from the campground and I want to head back to camp. So I found what appeared to be a trail headed in the right direction, clearly a trail, but no markings, until I get back to the road by the visitor center, and there is an end of trail marker. So clearly I've been on a trail. After making my way back to the visitor center on a unmarked trail that clearly was a trail, heading down the asphalt for a short piece, I found the entrance to the trail that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. It takes me back to the campground. Almost back to the campground. I just checked my track, and by the time I get back to the campsite, my 4-mile morning hike, it's going to be about 5.5 miles because part of it turned into a walkabout. Interesting landscape here. If you can get out really early in the morning, I think it'd be better. You might see more creatures. I did see some donkeys, I think, wild donkeys. Tons of jackrabbits. The jackrabbits here breed like, well, rabbits, apparently. They're too quick. You can't get them on video, or you can't get your camera out fast enough to get a picture, but they're huge. Big legs, big ears. If you're from the Southwest, probably not a big deal to you, but from the Midwest, we don't have jackrabbits. So they're kind of cool to see. Anyway, my recommendation here is take plenty of water and a good hat. Start out as early as you can to get a real nice early morning kind of sun coming up hike, or maybe late in the evening with a sunset, because like I said, there's a big horizon here. So wherever you're at, you're going to see either one. And then later, either today or maybe tomorrow morning when it's cooler again, I'm going to go check out the big archaeological dig for the Homolovi ruins. And I'll let you know what I find there. Second day at Homolovi State Park. Decided to check out Homolovi 2, which is the large archaeological dig here at the state park. You have to drive to it. It's several miles into the park, and then there's a paved walkway to get you to the area that has been excavated and examined. History is just so interesting. You stand up here and you walk around on this bit of a mesa here. Up above the plains, the Little Colorado River is down below. There's mountains off in the distance. And you think about in the 1300s, people living and working the land here. Up to 1,000 people, they said. What a great archaeological find. Unfortunately, as you walk around, you realize there's a lot of random holes, some of them quite deep. And they said that it's from treasure hunters who came here over the years and just haphazardly started digging and trying to find treasure, pottery shards, whatever they could get. And in the process, probably damaged and destroyed a lot of the history that was here. But once the Hopi tribe and the state of Arizona came together, and Arizona State University were able to work together to create this state park, save this entire area, protect it, and they were able to do some archaeology here, learn more about the people. It seems like it was a great collaborative effort. It's too bad it couldn't have happened a lot sooner, but at least they were able to save what they could. All in all, I'd say Homolovi State Park is a nice little oasis in the Arizona desert. And you're only a few miles away from Winslow, Arizona. I'm spending a few days here at Homolovi State Park. You should consider doing that too. It's a nice little place to get away. In the meantime, keep on trekking, and we'll see you out there.